Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, welcome back for part two of our Whiskey Zones series. In part one, up here, we talked about the four different whiskey zones of the state of Texas, and I promised I'd come back and talk about each one in detail. This is part two, where we were talking about the North Texas Whiskey Region, also known as the Prairies and Lakes region in the state of Texas. Now, this zone, it stretches from the border with Oklahoma all the way down to a little town called Seguin, just south and west of Houston, Texas. It is bounded on the east side by the Big Thicket and on the west side by our Hill Country and South Plains. San Antonio and Austin are right there in the middle. Dallas, Fort Worth, and Waco, Texas are up there in the northern part, a little ways below the border with Oklahoma. And I already told you the southern part is where Seguin would be located. Most of the distilleries in this region are located up there in the north around Dallas, Fort Worth, and Waco. Now, what makes this section of the state unique? Well, let's compare it to Bardstown, Kentucky specifically. Bardstown, Kentucky is about 620 feet elevated above sea level. The Dallas area is about 425 feet elevated above sea level. So elevation is not really a big deal when it comes to these regions, but temperature is a huge difference when it comes to these two regions. The North Texas region is about, on average, 10 degrees hotter than the high temperatures in the Bardstown area. And the low temperature in the North Texas region is about 10 degrees higher than the low temperatures in the Bardstown area. But the really important temperature to remember is 65 degrees, because at 65 degrees and above, the whiskey in the barrel more efficiently interacts with the wood versus below 65 degrees. And in the North Texas zone of this great state, it gets 65 degrees or higher on a regular basis for about 8 months out of the year. In Bardstown, Kentucky, that's about 6 months out of the year. And now, the ultimate difference means that means we have 30% more aging time in the barrel over any given 12-month period. So 3 years in the state of Texas is the equivalent to about 4 years in the state of Kentucky, in the North Texas region of the state of Texas specifically. But it also is affected by the humidity in the area. The humidity in the North Texas zone is about 10 to 15 points higher than the average humidity in the Bardstown area. And that 10 to 15 extra humidity points increases the air pressure around this zone, which forces the whiskey to interact with the barrel more aggressively. So over those 8 months that the whiskey is interacting with the barrel, it's being pushed deeper into the wood, and the whiskey's picking up more and more and more of the flavor and color from the wood that it otherwise would have. Ultimate result, that extra time in the wood and the extra air pressure pushing it into the wood helps to make for a more intensive whiskey flavor. So again, 3 years in the state of Texas, the equivalent to about 4 years in the state of Kentucky. But that 3 years in the North Texas zone in the state of Texas is a little bit even more intensive than just 3 years or 4 years in the Bardstown area in Kentucky. Ultimate net takeaway from this is that when you pick up a bottle of whiskey from the state of Texas, you need to know what zone it's from so you can understand what that whiskey's gone through and what that whiskey's done during its journey from barrel to bottle, so that you know what to expect. Because if you're the type of person that's expecting a 4-year whiskey when you pick up a bottle of like Jim Beam, because Jim Beam is aged 4 years, and you're expecting the type of flavor you get in a Jim Beam, but you see a bottle of 3-year Texas whiskey and you kind of turn your nose up at it because it's not old enough, well, you're missing out on some really good whiskey coming from the state of Texas, coming from the northern zone. Keep that in mind when you buy it, because Texas, again, is not a monolithic zone of whiskey production. There's 4 different zones in the state of Texas, and next time we come back, we're going to talk about one of the other zones and see what happens on a whiskey's journey from barrel to bottle. So like and subscribe and do all the stuff that YouTube people tell you to do, and we'll be back with some more great content next time you come and visit. Cheers, and have a great afternoon. Bye!